Most pilots, they know that gut feeling. The VFR forecast looks okay, then it shifts, and suddenly things feel, well, less certain. But imagine amplifying that for the IFR world, especially for pilots working on their ESO basic instrument rating, the BIR. It becomes like a constant reality you're operating in. So today we're doing a deep dive into operational meteorology essentials for the BIR. And this isn't just about, cramming for the exam. It's really about what keeps you safe up there when you can't see the ground.
That's exactly it. Yeah. This deep dive, it's about understanding why Met for the BIR isn't just ticking a box. It really is your ultimate safety buffer in that IFR environment. We're talking practical safety here, making smart calls that go way beyond just the minimum legal requirement or passing a test.
Okay, so VFR pilots need weather knowledge. BIR pilots need weather knowledge. Is the difference really that stark? Or is it just sort of a higher level of checking things? What's the core shift in thinking?
Well, it's interesting because BIR pilots, you're often dealing with a significantly higher operational minima. But there are subtle traps too. See, for a VFR pilot, if it's not clear, you just don't launch, right? Simple.
Right.
But for a BIR pilot, you might be legally okay for, let's say, a 200-foot decision height on an approach. But your actual operational minimum in your typical GA plane, like a Cessna with its systems, it might realistically need to be, I don't know, 400, maybe 500 feet,
Ah,
especially if you don't have precision approach guidance like an ILS. So those numbers you see in a TAF or a METAR, they're not just abstract figures. They dictate whether you can safely even try the flight, not just legally start it. It's about knowing your true practical limits.
that really clarifies the why for me. So,
Mhm.
okay, beyond those minima, what about the aircraft itself? You mentioned inherent aircraft limitations.
Mm.
What does that mean for someone flying, say, their Cessna 172 IFR?
Exactly. And it's not just the numbers, which leads right into the aircraft point. Your standard GA aircraft, your Cessna, your Piper, it's just not built like an airliner.
Mm-hmm.
It probably doesn't have serious de-icing. Maybe it climbs slower, probably no fancy weather radar. This forces you into a much more risk-aware way of planning and flying when you see weather in the forecast or encounter it. You have to think way beyond the legal
Oh,
minimums.
like icing, for example.
Precisely. Think about late rime ice. VFR pilot sees that forecast. No go. Simple. But a BIR pilot might be cleared through cloud layers. So understanding exactly where that freezing level is and what your plane can actually handle, if anything, I mean, that's critical.
Yeah.
It stops being about rules and becomes about, well, survival. A forecast for light ice, that should be a major red flag in most GA types because any protection they have is probably quite limited compared to bigger aircraft designed for IFR.
That makes total sense. Okay, let's try to paint a picture then. Say you're flying along, IFR, everything's fine. Then ATC updates the destination forecast. Now it shows broken clouds right at your approach minimums and maybe scattered reports of light rime ice en route.
Mm.
What's the BIR pilot's immediate thought process there? How's that different from a VFR pilot who'd likely just divert immediately?
Right. Good scenario. And this is where the practical application really kicks in. First off, you're not just glancing at those numbers to see if they're legal. You're actively running that data through the filter of your aircraft's real capabilities. And, importantly, your own personal minimums, which might be higher than the published ones.
Okay.
So you see that broken layer at published minimums. A sharp BIR pilot instantly thinks, okay, what's the crosswind on the runway for that IFR approach?
Ah, right.
If that crosswind is pushing the demonstrated limit for your aircraft, even if it's technically legal for a BIR pilot, that's probably a no-go. The safety margin is just too thin. Yep. Or with that light rime report, you're thinking about your actual climb performance. Can you reliably climb out of that icing layer if you need to? Not just what the book says in ideal conditions. This knowledge, it isn't academic. It is your safety buffer. It directly informs how you decide whether to continue, maybe hold for a bit and divert, or honestly make the safest call, cancel the approach, or even the whole flight. Examiners, yeah, they want the theory. But what actually keeps you safe is applying it conservatively, with understanding, spotting trends in the METARs and TAFs like a ceiling that's slowly lowering, and knowing what that really means for your decision.
So wrapping this up, the main takeaway seems to be that BIR meteorology isn't about rote memorization for a test. It's about building this deep practical instinct for how weather, your specific plane, and your skills all interact to keep you safe when flying instruments.
Exactly right. It's about informed judgment. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. For your next IFR flight plan or flight, Which specific weather element, maybe wind, maybe visibility, maybe cloud base, maybe icing potential will you look at differently now? Really analyze it beyond just the numbers, thinking about its true operational impact on your specific flight and your aircraft.